Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner. This is the daily technical update. It is the 15th of August, and just a quick look at Nvidia today. Closed just a few cents below the key resistance here at 118 and 4 cents to be exact, but 118. We're still below the 55 moving average. RSI is still below 60. And it hasn't taken out 120s but 16, which is this little spike there. So that will be key here the next couple of days. Can it actually close above that or those levels or not, or will it slide back lower? On Nikkei also we actually had a little bit of a positive day overnight here. And just below the 200 moving average, we would still see this 1, 2, 3, 4 correction phase here. Could take up to 37,330. If it does close above that, well, then this 5 wave down is demolished. But if it starts sliding back lower below 36,000, I believe we'll see selling pressure resuming. On the S&P 500, very strong bounce. It was not the semis that drove it yesterday. It was more other tech stocks. It was especially cybersecurity stocks that you should have a look. You could have a look at, and they've been a very strong bounce indeed lately. We are just below to the upper part of the cloud here. It needs to break above and close above for cloud uptrend. And also above the falling trend line there. It is not the strongest one, I have to admit, but key will be RSI. Can it close above 60 or not? If it can't and it is being rejected, then expect it to slide back lower, the index. And it could be crucial here the next couple of days, to be honest, for the index. The same here on Nasdaq 100. I'm not so convinced that we will actually go back into full-blown bullish mode. It really needs to break above this level here, 19,473, and you can also say that, well, it should actually close above 19,539 for a bullish confirmation, and RSI should close above 60 threshold for further confirmation, when we are not really there yet. So still a little bit to the weaker side. If it starts sliding back below 18,650, well, then a downtrend is likely to resume. On the European markets, we have a positive day today, at least to begin with. Also ended on a positive note yesterday. We are trading around the 61.8 retracement here on Eurostoxx 50 of this sell-off we saw here late last week. 200 moving average will add a little bit of resistance, but the strong resistance is up here around just above 4,800. So let's see if we can get up there. RSI is still not convincing. There was no divergence here on the sell-off. So if it starts sliding lower, and that's actually what I favor, not at the moment, because you have to trust the bounce, so you have to trust the trend, and I think it can bounce a little bit further here the coming days. But for Eurostoxx really to turn the tide, it really needs to get back above 4,900. There is some obstacles ahead. The DAX index starting to dig into this gap area here. 17,918, 18,083. Sorry about that. That is the key. If it does close above the upper part, then I think we will go back to bullish mode. But it is a very strong rebound. If it does close inside this gap area, that could be interesting here the next couple of days. But if it does close below the lower part of gap, then I think it will slide lower. So let's see here the next couple of days what can it actually do. The Amsterdam index also a fairly strong bounce lately. Still have this gap up here. It hasn't tested it yet, but it is above the 892, and I think we could push higher towards 900 here in the coming days. So key will be what will happen with this gap area. Can it actually close it, or will it be rejected? On the CAC 40, actually closed above 7,300 yesterday, trading a little bit, opening a little bit higher this morning. will it slide back below 7,300 again, or can it actually push higher to close above 7,464? That was the pivot, so to speak, way back here after the French election. And if it can get back above that, well, then there's potential to 7,600, maybe even 7,700. And finally, on the Swiss market, also a very strong day yesterday, especially led by financial. We are currently back above the cloud. We are above the 55 moving average. RSI hasn't fully confirmed yet, but very strong move indeed. And support here just around 12,000, that should be observed. If it starts taking out that, well, then it's likely to resume downtrend. But for now, very strong push, and could push higher if it can close above the cloud here. Your dollar pushed high yesterday, but collapsed a little bit towards the end. Now it's trading around 110.10. But if we're looking at what is happening on the weekly, you can see it is about to break out of this triangle-like pattern here. I did an article yesterday on it. I published an analysis, deeper analysis, and you can see these levels where it could push. If it does close the week above 110, then we are looking at 111.40, 112.75. Euro sterling also quite a strong bounce, but it got smacked back down after hitting the 61.8 retracement here on the daily. But as you can see, it is actually currently testing this falling trend line here on the weekly. That keep an eye on that. So if it can close back above 86.25 above this resistance area here, well, then expect higher levels on Euro sterling. Cable struggling a little bit here around the 50%. Key will be 129. If it can close above that, then we are in a bullish mode. If not, then we will slide back lower and be caught in this range here for quite some time. Yen, dollar yen still trading sideways. There is room up to 149.40, but it seems to be a struggle, and it could easily start sliding lower here. It hasn't even touched the 40 on the 40 threshold on the RSI. It's a little bit. It's actually quite a bit of a sign of it. It is a sign of weakness. Euro yen testing the 38.2 retracement, 162.44. I think it will slide back lower here in the coming days, but if it can't really break higher, well, then we're located on 164, 165 maybe even. But it could be that could be the bounce. Also thinking about the other yen pairs are struggling a little bit. You can see Aussie yen here trading around the 38.2 retracement and the resistance at 97.83. So if it starts sliding back below the 97, then I think we will see downtrend resuming. But there's still room to the upside. The sterling yen hasn't even reached the 38.2 retracements. It's really remarkable. 190.80 resistance here at 189.99, sorry. So there is some upside struggling there, and we have the 40 threshold being tested, but it can't really get back up. It really needs to close back above for at least a further upside bounce. Aussie dollar hovering around this 61.8 and 66.25 level. I think it will start sliding lower. If it takes out the lows today at 65.65, then it will slide back lower. But there's really strong resistance here with the 55 moving average that should be observed. If it takes out that, well, then it could be further upside potential. The dollar Canada testing the cloud, and it could hold. And we also have the RSI testing the 40 threshold. If it doesn't close below 40 threshold, then expect a bounce in dollar Canada. I still want to see a bottom of reversal pattern or something, and I want to see it break back above 137.50. Then I think we'll see a bounce on dollar Canada. Otherwise, there is potential down to the 786 retracement here at 136.65. On the Swiss, Euro Swiss, I think it will test the 61.8 retracement at 95.58. here in a couple of days, also maybe spiking above a little bit, but we are in a negative sentiment on the other side. There was no divergence, so we could turn around. We have the 200 moving average declining, we have the 55 moving average declining, and 100 up here also declining. So the underlying short-term to medium-term trend is bearish, but we are in a correction phase. The dollar Swiss just trading sideways around the 32 retracement at 86.70. Can it break it up? I'm not quite so sure. I think also it will slide back lower. If it takes out the low yesterday at 86.18, well, then I expect the downtrend to resume. And finally, on the dollar index, we have we saw the sell-off here, trading around 102.30, just above this key support. We could still see a test of the previous lows. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, if my chart will update, there we are in a downtrend on the dollar index. Gold rejected once again just below its all-time highs here at 24.84. Little bit of a setback. We are still in a bullish trend, so I think it will break higher, but I need confirmation before that actually I will call that. So keep an eye on. We could see a little bit of setback back down to 24.25. Silver seems to moving higher today, 1.7% up, and I think we will see a push towards the 29.45 is the resistance for upside potential, and eventually it will be around $30. But 29.45 key resistance right there. We have copper struggling a little bit, but maybe it got its act together this morning. Let's see if it can actually push higher towards the 422. Check out my written analysis done late last week, where I talk about these levels 422. We should see a bounce up today. There is divergence on the sell-off down here to the bottom. So it could be in downtrend exhaustive mode, so this wedge breakout should give potential to 422. On the energy side, as I mentioned yesterday, it is choppy. WTI and Brent crude oils are choppy, but it is the weekly chart that is interesting. We have this volatility, but it is decreasing, so we will get narrow trading range, forming this a triangle-like pattern that it needs to break out for really a bullish move or bearish move in any direction. Same here on Brent crude oil. And finally, let's have a look at, oh, by the way, maybe we'll do an update later on Brent crude oil, but also for Ole Hansen. He's back from a few days off. We are stuck in this range here on crude oil. Here we have Brent between 82.80 and $75, but the range will be more and more narrow in the coming days. Finally, on the US 10-year yield, in a downtrend, very close to be testing the 61.8, actually just a few cents from it, a few pips from it, 380, 379, and I think it will test it, maybe even broken. Let's see here the next couple of days, maybe later today, can it actually bounce higher, or will it also be broken and we will have lower yields? All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.